is our second main topic
Why
today.
am I here? This comes from Adam V. Greetings, John and crew. I have no idea where it was at, but Vin Diesel just did sort of a red carpet event interview, and when asked who he'd like to have in Fast 11, he said Robert Downey Jr. He then went on to describe the character he'd play and wouldn't answer if he's already talked to Downey about the role. What do you think of this, and would you like to see RDJ live life a quarter mile at a time? Oh my God, did they say that?
Oh, yeah.
It's
I live
way
my life
worse
a
than
quarter
that.
mile at a time.
What?
Yeah, it goes all the way back to the original
first
one.
one. To the first one with
It's
the
all the way
drag
back
race
to the
thing.
original.
Oh,
So,
Lord.
yeah, so Vin Diesel, look, it's becoming a thing now where it feels like ever since like 7 and 8 and certainly 9, they are just like gathering up as many people as they can and throwing them in these films.
It's like the NWO.
That's right. It started off as a pretty exclusive club. By the end, there were like 30 members of the NWO. It's like, oh my God, Ray Ora's with the NWO now. So
Come on.
So Vin Diesel's on the red carpet. He's being interviewed by Variety, and he says, and they ask him straight up, like, do you have anybody in mind that you'd like to see? And he very specifically turns the camera and goes, Robert Downey Jr. And then he goes on to explain the character. This comes to us from the folks at Variety, and they wrote the following. Without telling you too much about, this is Vin Diesel speaking, without telling you too much about what happens in the future, there's a character who is this is talking about Fast 11 now. There's a character who is the antithesis of Dom, who is promoting AI and driverless cars and a philosophy that with that goes your freedom, Diesel said. There is somebody that believes that that's the future, and that is at direct odds with the Toretto mentality. However, when pressed about if he's pitched Robert Downey Jr. on the role yet, Diesel simply growled and said in a playful yet menacing tone, "How dare you ask me this question in front of all these people? I have my pride and I have my dignity." So kind of in an off-about way, maybe implying that he has already talked to Robert Downey Jr. Again, it was pretty, I think, telling that when he was asked the question, there was only one name. He said, it's Robert Downey Jr., and this is the role I want for him. And then when asked if he's spoken, he goes, he refused to answer that one. Now, I think this is fascinating because it shows that Vin Diesel is kind of aiming for the stars, I think a little bit. And I think this is more believable than you might think. And a part of that is because with notwithstanding maybe him coming back to the MCU again, which I believe will happen eventually, but Robert Downey Jr. hasn't had a lot going on, right? And something like this could be a very low effort, easy kind of role to play for him, for an actor of his caliber, to come in and do it and be once again in a worldwide smash hit franchise that isn't under the Marvel banner. And it was sounding to me that, I mean, to say this out loud, for Diesel to say this out loud, it might become a little embarrassing if he hadn't already talked to Robert Downey Jr. about it. And I'm not saying Robert Downey Jr. signed on for it or anything like that, but if he hadn't talked to Robert Downey Jr. about it, what Vin Diesel has just done is he's backed himself into a little bit of a corner. Because now he's going to have to answer questions if it doesn't end up being Robert Downey Jr. And of course, whoever does end up taking this role is going to be asked in all the press junkets, so what does it feel like to be sloppy seconds? What does it feel like to be second choice? Like everybody knew that he really wanted Robert Downey Jr. What does it like to be the one that they settled for? So that at least makes me suspect that he probably has had at least a conversation with Robert Downey Jr. Again, I don't know. Maybe Vin Diesel was just caught up in the moment, and he's at this fun event, and he's just lets whatever's in the brain come out of the mouth.
The ecstasy hit.
The ecstasy hit at that very moment. I mean, it happens to all of us. So I mean, being caught up in the moment, not the ecstasy hit.
No, that's pretty much happens to everybody.
I don't know. The ecstasy hit happens to all of us. So I don't know, Chris. You hear these comments from Vin Diesel. Do you think he's actually talked to Robert Downey Jr.? Do you think Robert Downey Jr.
Well,
would do
Vin
something
and
like this?
I
What do you
have
think?
talked a lot about this franchise that I'm very invested in. I mean, look, there's so many people who are in these movies. Why wouldn't he talk to him about it? Brie Larson's an Academy Award winner. She's in this. Helen Mirren.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there are a lot of big names they're talking to. So I'd believe it. I feel like he'd do well in this weird little world. I don't know.
I mean, it almost sounds like he's kind of describing Tony Stark in a way, right? I don't know, Rob, what do you think about this?
Look, man, I keep going back to I keep going back to Downey did, I want to say it was an interview with Joe Rogan, and they were talking about Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, it's going back a couple of years, yeah.
Yeah, and him talking about taking on the role of, like, Rogan was asking, how'd you feel about this? It was a little, you know, this, you were really out on a limb. And he knows that he was, you know, and he says, I guess they asked, would you have done it today? But I think Robert Downey Jr., I mean, is a very serious actor. He has a long career. It's a 40-year career plus. I think the idea of him being like the uber villain of perhaps the last Fast film would appeal to him.
So he's going to be Dominic's son.
That's what I was going to say.
No, like some Elon Musk, whoever he is. I mean, I think Robert Downey Jr. would be the kind of thing where if Vin Diesel called him up and said, would you come down and do this? I think Robert Downey Jr. wouldn't hesitate. I think he'd be like, yeah, I'll totally do it. It's like when Jamie Foxx tells the story about how Jamie Foxx's daughter really loved Iron Man. And Jamie Foxx called up Robert Downey Jr. and said, it's my daughter's birthday. You know, I guess she's turning 5. She loves Iron Man. I was just wondering if you could stop by. And he goes, what time's the birthday? How about noon? And he did. He stopped by. Just because somebody asked him. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. has made so much money off the Avengers movies, and he has he's Academy Award nominated.
Yes.
I just think he would do it because then he could say how fun nobody would say to him, why did you do that? Everyone would be like, that's so cool that you did that.
Yeah.
Because it's just fun. At this point in his life, the guy doesn't need any money. He doesn't have to work. But man, if he got to be, especially if he keeps that shaved head with the goatee, come on. He'd be great.
Well, then he's Obadiah Stane, isn't he?
He's like a tech villain. Yeah,
Dominic
but
Toretto built this car in a cave. It'd be great. And Michelle Rodriguez will be like, with all due respect, I'm not Dominic Toretto. It'll be amazing.
I mean, come on. Who wouldn't love that? Can you just imagine? All you have to have in the trailers, you could just see the back of his head and it would be lit up in the darkness, and he turns around and it would just say, Fast 11, all roads end with him.
Ooh. Now you're coming up with the tagline.
Come on, dude.
If you have a script that supports it, send it to Robert.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Vin Diesel is saying he would like to. He's got this big main bad guy for Fast 11, the final Fast and the Furious movie, and he says he wants it to be Robert Downey Jr. Do you think he's actually spoke to him already? What would you think about Robert Downey Jr. in that role? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. The average person has around 12 paid subscriptions. Think about that. If you think you're only subscribed to a handful of services, you might want to double check. With Rocket Money, you can quickly identify and cancel all of your unwanted subscriptions. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want and don't even use. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as the click of a button. My wife Ann and I moved out of Burbank 2 years ago, and one of the first things I discovered when I loaded up Rocket Money was that I was still paying for a gym membership I haven't even been to in Burbank in 2 years. So stop throwing away your money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea.